Hey guys, how you doing? Hopefully you're doing okay. Going to give you a very thorough overview of the article here. I'll hit on all of the key points. There's a link in the description. It's pretty graphic, so I'm going to give you a trigger warning in that regard. It's in regards to the psychopath that you see in front of you. His name, Judson Taylor, 56 years of age, from Chicago, and he has confessed to the killing and dismembering of his long-term acquaintance. Can't say friend, but certainly acquaintance. His long-term drug dealer. The drug dealer in question, the victim, the murder victim, was called Kelvin Perry, 37 years of age. Now, the murder occurred October the 23rd. We'll go into those details in just a moment, but what is relevant is to let you know that a few months prior to the murder, these guys had an argument. Judson Taylor, the psychopath here, was very, very unhappy about the ever-increasing cost of the drugs that he was buying from the victim, Kelvin Perry. He was upset about the inflation. Let's go, Brandon. Unhappy about the inflation in regards to his drugs. Now, on October the 23rd, the psychopath that we see in front of us, Judson Taylor, invited the victim, the drug dealer, to his apartment at around 1:30 a.m. in order to complete a drug transaction. Now, that was a ruse. This guy had planned an attack. And lo and behold, he has admitted to having brought out a knife and stabbing the victim, Kelvin Perry, multiple times in the body and the neck. Again, following an argument about drug prices, the price of drugs. So this guy brought him there, brought his long-term drug dealer, so not his friend, but certainly his acquaintance, to his apartment, 1:38 a.m., October 23rd. They once more get into an argument about drug prices. This time, the psycho is prepared. He has a knife. He proceeds to stab the victim, Kelvin Perry, multiple times in the body and the neck. The victim, Kelvin Perry, tries to escape. He tries to run out the back door. This guy, the psycho, had already prepared for that. He padlocked an outdoor security gate. The victim couldn't get out. He was trapped. He begged for help. He begged for mercy. The victim, Kelvin Perry, literally begged this psycho, Judson Taylor, not to kill him. But he was killed. He was stabbed at least 10 times. The victim, Kelvin Perry, died on the kitchen floor. Then, this psycho, Judson Taylor, folded Kelvin Perry's body, bent it in half, put it in the freezer. Forgive my terminology, stuffed his body in the freezer. Over the course of the next several days, this psycho, Judson Taylor, would take the body out of the victim, Kelvin Perry, and he would cut pieces of the body off, cut out pieces of the body. He used a pruning saw to cut the body and the head. He used a hatchet on the arms up until the point that the hatchet broke. Forgive the graphicness. He used wire cutters on the victim's fingers. So he completely dismembered this poor victim's body, stuffed him in the freezer, took him out, cut him up as best he could. Okay, the gruesomeness continues. On November the 2nd, a sanitation worker found the victim's lower part of his body, about a block away from this psychopath's home. Now, if I understand correctly, that sanitation worker didn't call the police, if I understand correctly. It tells us here in the article. Let me show you exactly where. Maybe this article just isn't written entirely correctly, But it says here, the victim's lower body was found on November the 2nd by a streets and sanitation worker, just a block from the psychopath's home. 3 days later, the streets and sanitation worker called 911 complaining of breathing problems and said that he'd found 2 severed arms. So I don't know what to make of that. I mean, is that saying that the sanitation found the victim's lower body and didn't do anything about it until he had breathing problems? Or is it saying that also on that day he also found 2 severed arms? I don't know. It's a bit confusing. But in any case, a sanitation worker did find the lower body of the victim, Kelvin Perry, as well as 2 severed arms. Okay, so there are still, at the point of time that this article was written, November the 9th, there are still body parts of the victim missing, which include his head, his fingers, and part of the torso. That's pretty much all the information that we have. The scumbag is being held without bond. It tells us here that he's back in court November the 16th. Like I said, I've been a little bit slow in following this one up, so perhaps I can do a Google search right here, right now. Let's have a look. Bear with me. I've done a search, but I haven't found any further details. So seemingly, he did go to court on November the 16th. I can't see any further details in regards to the progress of this case. But in any case, this guy has admitted to his involvement to having stabbed and dismembered the victim, Kelvin Perry. So with that, I hope this guy, Judson Taylor, gets exactly what he deserves, which I would say would be the death penalty. I'm not sure if that's available in Chicago. I haven't double checked. If it isn't, then life in prison. This is an absolute psychopath, in my opinion. Okay, let's be clear. I'm a layman. I don't know the precise psychological terms involved. I'm just using the term psychopath in the layman sense. This is not somebody that you want on the streets. This is somebody who's taken a life needlessly, and he ought to pay with his life, in my opinion. Certainly, if the death sentence isn't available, lock this guy up, throw away the key. He doesn't deserve to see sunlight again, frankly, in my mind. But that's all I have for you. It's a horrendous case. Kelvin Perry was a drug dealer. That's not good. In fact, that's pretty bad. Personally, I don't want to victim blame too much, and I don't want to go on too much of a tangent. However, I've started a tangent, so I'm going to finish this tangent. Personally, I'm pretty cool with casual drugs. Casual drugs. My understanding of casual drugs would be marijuana, ecstasy, Molly, LSD, acid, speed, amphetamines, these kind of things. Party drugs. I'm pretty cool with party drugs. I don't take any myself. I used to, but not for a long time. I don't really see any major issues with dealing such things. It's illegal, of course. But I personally would say not immoral. Hard drugs, however, meth, ice, crack, cocaine, heroin, and, other types of things, even opiates. I mean, arguably even steroids. These are not good things. These are things which cause real destructive issues on people. So, depending on what kind of drugs Kelvin Perry was dealing in, if I was to know that he was a dealer of hard drugs, then I'd probably say fuck him. I'd say he got what he deserved to. But I don't know that to be the case. So I'm going to say condolences to the victim's family. I'm going to wrap things up and take care.